Hello, and welcome to a quick overview of the developing process of a new and unique vocabulary learning app named Vox2Vox. Meet Julian Müller, our proto-persona. A proto-persona is simply a prototype of a persona. Personas provide a way for us designers to humanize our users and keep their goals, pain points, and behaviors in the foreground of all design decisions. Julian is 17 years old and lives nearby Frankfurt, Germany. He's in his last year of school and he's heading for his university entrance diploma next year. He's been studying English since 3rd grade. Julian still lives at home with his parents and he spends a lot of his spare time playing guitar in his band and doing sports. He's a typical young man of his age, which means that he uses social media a lot to stay connected with his friends, and he uses a laptop, a tablet, and of course his smartphone. Sometimes Julian is a little bit of a slacker and slightly chaotic when it comes to organizing himself. After finishing school next year, Julian wants to study international economics, which is mostly taught in English, and therefore he aims for a good English degree in school. Julian always likes things to keep going, so he's looking for an easy and clearly structured application to help himself exercising. Also, he needs ready-made vocabulary sets that suit his momentary demands. Let's take a look at some of Julian's main problems and how they can be transferred into a problem statement. First problem. Julian already has numerous accounts for a variety of apps and platforms. He doesn't want another one. By offering optional Spotify profile logins, no additional accounts will be necessary. Second problem. Julian needs an extra portion of motivation to keep himself going. By integrating song lyrics into the studying process, a new and unique form of additional motivation can be achieved. Third problem. Julian wants to study as time-saving as possible. By implementing a spaced repetition system, we will make studying more effective. So what challenges does Julian face when working on the problem we're trying to solve? Julian needs many repetitions when learning new terms, and he's an eye-minded person, so pictures help him very much as well. Also, he's a cross-device user and therefore asks for a cross-device functionality. Particularly interesting for us is a special characteristic of our persona. Julian is music-loving, a passion he shares with many other people out there. And because we're not only designers when we start to conceptualize a new application, we have to think as marketers as well. And we need to search for unique solutions that have not been presented by somebody else before. We need to find a unique selling proposition, a USP, that enables us to differentiate from all the other vocabulary apps out there. So we decided to go for that music-loving characteristic and started playing around with it. Many of us non-native English-speaking people learned a lot by listening to English song lyrics. Today there are some interesting and easy-to-use apps out there, Musicsmatch for example. These apps know almost all song lyrics and are able to fit them to the according track and time, a little bit like a karaoke machine. All that given, wouldn't it be nice to hear a new term in your learning app, sung in a song you already know? This is the unique idea that will differentiate Vox2Vox from all competition out there. Now we started wireframing and prototyping. After designing user flows, we grabbed our sketchbook and started painting. After a while, we had a bunch of pretty low-fidelity screen designs that we put together in Prod, an easy-to-use application that enables building prototypes very fast. Now, what you do with your little nice prototype? You go out and conduct a usability test in the real world with real people. So we defined a scope and designed and scheduled testing sessions with 3 participants, 10 minutes each. We used a pretty real-world device, a Sony Xperia X, and came up with 4 tasks. Task 1 included completing the onboarding sequence and the first login. In Task 2, our participants were asked to edit an existing term within Vox2Vox. Task 3 was about turning notifications off within the settings menu, and the final task included setting up a new user account. When a first round of testing ends without any findings, everything worked out fluently and perfectly right away, then you must have done something completely wrong. Fortunately, we obviously did everything right because numerous problems occurred and could be documented and ranked. Here are 2 of these findings. The first one is about a button that accidentally made its way on the wrong page, where it did make no sense at all. The second problem was a programming error in the title navigation. The button simply didn't work. Our next task was to evaluate all errors and rank them according to their severity. After that, we started solving the problems one by one, like you can see here with our exemplary findings we got to know on the slide before. The first problem was solved by erasing the misplaced button, and the second one was solved by adding the missing functionality. That brings us back to the evaluation and the ranking of the findings of our usability test and the next steps. On the left-hand side, you can see the unsorted list containing all of the remarks made by our test users. The colored balls in the middle of the list show the error severity classified after Jakob Nielsen's error rating scale from 0, not a usability problem at all, to 4, usability catastrophe. Our next steps derive from that list because now we can begin working off item after item, starting with the most severe problems as you can see on the timeline on the right-hand side. When all problems have been solved, we will do another round of usability tests with the enhanced and revisited version of our prototype. So what have we learned so far? A lot. On the positive side, there is one major understanding. It works. The design thinking process works out pretty well. Further insights are that prototyping with prod is really fluent and easy. Information architecture is really worth a methodical approach, and conducting usability tests in an early stage is the most useful thing you can do. A negative learning was that although investing lots of time, energy and effort into the designing process, there will always remain silly errors in your first prototype. Things always look so easy in the beginning and start getting more and more complicated in the end. Finally, it's really hard to find new or unique solutions to problems that already have been solved before, but it's possible. So that's it for now. Thank you very much for your attention.